Ever since the route map of this year's Vuelta was announced, everyone has been looking forward to stage 13. Coming on a Friday, kind of a Friday the 13th, well, a horror show perhaps for some, and a day for those with a chance to enhance their positions overall to go for it. One team standing loud and proud out front were of course Jumbo-Visma, but teams like DSM were hoping to get some glory out of the day. Bardet, perhaps somebody who could steal a stage win off the mighty Wasps. Plenty of mountains points up for grabs with the Aubisque, the Spandell and of course the Tourmalet out there, but all crammed in to a very short distance. 134.7 kilometres doesn't sound too much of a test, but when you factor in over 4,500 metres of climbing, you realise that this day is either up or down. Pivotal then, you might say, and time to get off and racing. We were climbing straight out of the back door, and by the time we'd taken a long sinuous descent, the first real test of the day, the Aubisque and a Special climb. Well, with the hammer hand being used, Jumbo-Visma were setting the pace, and Remco Evenepoel found himself struggling. The word was he was not ill, he just didn't have the legs. They were pushing on. Agostoro was picking up mountains points, igniting his campaign for the polka dots. But Evenepoel, that was a story that unfortunately would be told by the end of the day. The gap was getting bigger and bigger between he and the other favourites. This was supposed to be a battle between Roglic and Evenepoel. It didn't look like that was going to happen. Well, the Australian still kicked on, taking more and more mountains points, and in fact virtually leading that competition. By the time we dealt with the Aubisque and the Spandell, it was now the long descent that would take us ultimately to the Tourmalet. Virtual classification: Kuss, Soler, Roglic, Vingegaard, Ayuso. That surely would change by the end of the day. Such were the numbers of Jumbo-Visma. Could they action a battle plan, and what would it be? Knowing that Evenepoel was now out of contention overall, what would be the pecking order? And indeed, of those that were in this high-quality breakaway, who would survive? Lenny Martinez, the youngster, stage winner and former leader of this race, was one of those to go. And as the lassé began, it felt like lashes, I must say. Jonas Vingegaard decided to take off with 8 kilometres with Ayuso on his wheel. And then a series of attacks were launched. But of course, with Kuss here and Roglic, they were marking them out. It was a question of exhaustion, resources being depleted and spent. Uijtdebrechts, the young Belgian, was also in the mix, and Mikkel Landa was trying to hold on. But as the kilometres went by, Vingegaard was up the road. Mas tried once more, and this time Sepp Kuss was the policeman. Roglic just keeping his powder dry and keeping an eye on Landa, who'd just arrived at this point, Ayuso and Uijtdebrechts. Sepp Kuss being a policeman of sorts and showing a great deal of flair, able to drive on when he needed to, and indeed just change the pace once more and make the rivals overall in this race work extra hard. Vingegaard himself, winner of the Tour de France, was in spectacular form. Uijtdebrechts, last chance saloon for him. Landa finally just being edged off, and Sepp Kuss going for it. Such was his pace, he caught everyone out, including a fan. He had to brake and then still had the resources to go again. Absolutely remarkable. He leads this race and looked freshest of absolutely everybody, leaving Roglic behind with those who would challenge for the lead of this race. Coming round the final twists and turns, Vingegaard took the day. Sepp Kuss was hot on his heels and wouldn't be that far behind. But who would be in the pecking order following Kuss? We didn't have to wait that long for the answer. Kuss coming home, charging into a gap that at one point to Vingegaard had been up to 50 seconds, narrowing that margin to 29, still leading overall, and Roglic making it a 1-2-3, famously so for Jumbo-Visma, not only on the day, but now overall as well. Uijtdebrechts crossing the line, Mas likewise. Soler had started the day, don't forget, in second place. Now tumbling down the order. But this was to be a very tough day. Stage wins perhaps? Well, who knows? Lenny Martinez crossing the line bravely, and then we had to wait an awful long time, 27 minutes for Remco Evenepoel. Vingegaard took the day. Kuss still leads. Roglic very much in the frame. 1, 2, 3. 3, 2, 1 blast off, it seems. They have left the launch pad, and it seems that this race belongs to them. Stage wins for everybody else? Let's see. It could be a matter of control all the way to Madrid. Today certainly looked emphatic. Team Jumbo-Visma 1, 2 and 3, with Kuss leading Roglic by a margin of 1 minute and 37. Vingegaard closely behind. And Jonas also taking the King of the Mountains jersey. Such was the points tally available on the final climb today. He leads that competition. Well, Ayuso is our young riders classification leader. That jersey, of course, had been on the back of Remco Evenepoel, who now tumbles way out of contention for the overall. Utrecht's nearest man to him, with João Almeida, the Portuguese, who had a disappointing day, third in that class. And so, to stage 14, 156.2 kilometres. A day to make amends, or a day to choke out the rest of the field. Let's see what Jumbo-Visma do, and indeed their rivals. Special climbs along the way. Tough it will be. What story will be told? You know, in this race, we just never know.